My wife wants to kidnap my son. Thursday morning, 8:45 a.m. I picked up our shared iPad. Cordelia's browser was open to a draft intended for a Lake Geneva real estate agent. Put the property on the market next week. I'm liquidating the asset, taking the cash, and moving to Seattle with our son. Don't worry about my husband. I'll handle him when the time comes. We had been married 8 years with a 5-year-old boy, and she was dismantling our life in a web browser tab. We had just bought Miles a bicycle yesterday. We were discussing a weekend barbecue. Nothing in her behavior pointed to this massive level of deception. I sat at the island for 10 minutes. The shock burned, followed by betrayal. But underneath was razor-sharp clarity. She wanted to blindside me and steal my son. I acknowledged the threat. Then I went to work. I opened my fireproof safe. The cabin was inherited from my grandfather before I met Cordelia. The deed was entirely in my name. She had zero legal claim, but hoped to forge my signature on a quitclaim deed. I found the blank PDF in her files. I locked Miles's passport in my secure office cabinet along with his birth certificate. We had a joint high-yield savings account holding $145,000. My software engineering salary funded every penny. Her sporadic income went directly to her personal checking account. I drove to the bank at 10:15 a.m., opened a private account, and transferred the $145,000. I updated my direct deposit, logged into my credit cards, and revoked her authorized user status on the Platinum card. I changed the passcode on the cabin's alarm system. Then, I called Miles's kindergarten. This is Owen Beckett. Under no circumstances is my son to be picked up for out-of-state travel by anyone but me. Then, I sat in my lawyer's downtown office. File the divorce papers today, I told him. File an emergency injunction to prevent her from taking Miles. It took 6 hours of methodical admin work. Not out of malice, but pure survival. She was about to find out she didn't know the rules. Friday evening, Cordelia walked in smiling. Her father, Warren, was behind her holding a briefcase. Miles was upstairs playing. Cordelia kissed my cheek. Hey, honey, Dad needs to look at the cabin's deed for a quick tax project for his firm. I stood by the sink, arms crossed. Why would he need the deed to a property he doesn't own? Warren chuckled nervously. Just a formality, Owen, helping with deductions? I stared at Cordelia. You mean the deed you need to finalize the listing before you flee to Seattle with my son? The color drained from Cordelia's face. Warren stepped back. What are you talking about? She stammered. I'm talking about the email you left open on the iPad. The one where you planned to steal my inheritance and kidnap my child. Her hands trembled. Owen, it was just a hypothetical idea. A hypothetical idea with a downloaded quitclaim deed ready for my forged signature? I countered. I already transferred the savings. I removed you from the credit cards. The divorce petition and travel injunction were filed at 2 p.m. today. You can't do this, she screamed. I need that money. You tried to steal my property and my son. You get nothing. Monday morning, her lawyer reached out to settle. The truth surfaced. Cordelia wasn't just leaving. She was running. She secretly accumulated $85,000 in business debts from a failed boutique, and creditors were threatening a massive lawsuit. She needed the cash to vanish. She thought I would be a compliant victim. Instead of a courtroom battle, we met at a coffee shop Wednesday to finalize terms. Cordelia looked exhausted, sunglasses hiding puffy eyes. She slid a signed settlement agreement across the scratched wooden table. She agreed to primary custody for me and zero spousal support, solely because I agreed not to press felony fraud charges for the forged documents. I signed the paper, slid it into my briefcase, and stood up. She tried to grab my wrist. Owen, please. We spent 8 years together. I looked down at her. You ended those 8 years in a web browser, Cordelia. I'm just hitting refresh. I walked out into the afternoon sun, leaving her with cold coffee and looming debts.